You can see that I've got my DAW set up for songwriting, but something's different this time. Usually I will have a second track for my chords, and that's because usually I'm composing the chords as I go. But in this case, we're doing something different. In this case, I already have a set of chords that I've come up with on my guitar. You know, the guitar has very distinctive strumming qualities about it that the piano doesn't have. And in this case, it's a very rhythmic strum. And so I was not able to duplicate that on a keyboard. That really the best way to do something like this, when you have got a strumming pattern down that you want to write to go ahead and just set up an audio track and record that strumming. And so that's what I've done here. Hooked up my microphone, I set up an audio track, and I recorded this guitar part. Now, the reason that I'm doing this specifically here is because this is not the way I normally write. Normally, I really do write from, doing the chords and everything. And also, my guitar playing is very, very, very basic. I'm not an advanced guitar player by any means. And so I cannot typically, not only can I not play riffs and sing to them, but I can't write to them either. I'm having to concentrate too hard on playing that instrument. So this is a case of me going outside my lines, going outside my comfort zone, doing something that I wouldn't normally do. And while it may present a bigger challenge for me, I'm also hopeful that it will produce a different kind of song than my normal thing. And again, this is the theme of this vlog series that I'm doing. My whole project here of doing these videos is about writing outside the lines. And I want to emphasize this is not necessarily about going outside the lines of formula and what's on the radio. This is about going outside my own lines, pushing my own capabilities to come up with something that's different, something that is not something I'd normally write, so that when people listen to my music, they hear a variety of music. It can still have my voice, it can still have my style, it can still be my flavor, but it can also have variety. I don't want people to be bored with my music. And so that's what this is all about. So in this case, I am trying to write in a way that I wouldn't normally write. And this is going to be challenging for me. I know it is, because a couple of things here. One, I'm not used to writing to a guitar riff sort of thing. But also, because of the way I'm doing this, I'm necessarily going to have to write the melody first. And I am much better at putting music to words than I am at putting words to music. So I'm going to have to come up with a melody here, and then I'm going to somehow find words that fit in that melody. And the more interesting I make this melody, the more difficult it's going to be to find words to fit it. So I am really setting myself up here for a challenge. And I have not worked this out ahead of time. You're going to be coming with me on this journey. And the value that you get from this is not going to be so much of, do I write a good song or not? Because, my talents are different than yours. There are lots of you out there who are much better songwriters than I am. And so, again, I'm not trying to produce a bunch of clones of me. What I'm trying to do is help you find some techniques of songwriting that will augment what you do. No matter how good you are as a songwriter, you'll be able to use what I'm doing here, and that it will inspire you to try something different. So my main point of today is for you to find a different way of writing your songs that you don't normally do, that will force you to come up with something different. So in my case, I'm writing to a guitar riff. That's not something I normally do. And I'm also going to have to be writing words to a melody, which is not something that I normally do. It's not that I never do these things. It's just that they're not my norm. So it will force me to write something different. If I come up with something using this that sounds just like everything else I do, then wow, I just deserve a good swift kick in the butt. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and start writing. First thing I'm going to do is play you what I've got here. You can see that I've got 2 separate clips. This is basically the same thing. I just copied it over here so that it plays through twice. I've got a little intro here that's not really an intro. It's just when I cut off the beginning so that I could copy it over here, it just made the sound choppy. So I left that recording of the beginning of the playing of the guitar over here. You can't hardly notice it, but that's what that is. All right, so we're going to play this. You can get an idea what it sounds like. Okay, so then it just repeats itself. So some of you are probably going, that's a riff. It's nothing fancy, but for me, that's fancy, believe it or not. Okay, I did record this to a metronome, so it's mostly in time. And here's the thing, here's the trade-off. With me doing this to an audio track, instead of coming in and doing my normal thing of playing MIDI notes to an electric piano, I am now locked into this tempo. It's true, there are more tools now. You can stretch the tempo with audio and it doesn't mess it up as much, but it does start to mess it up some. And so if you're going to do this, you really need to know ahead of time what your tempo is going to be, set it, do your recording, because later you can't come back and change it. With the other way of songwriting, with the MIDI notes, you can adjust this tempo all day long because MIDI notes will stretch without changing or distorting the sound. But we are locked into this tempo now. But that's okay. I'm pretty confident that's the tempo that I'm going to do, or something pretty close to it. All right. So the first thing to do here is to listen to the accompaniment and then start trying to dream up, what kind of notes. What am I imagining? What am I envisioning coming in here? And by the way, notice I have not put bass or drums or all this stuff in here. And some of you may be thinking, well, why not? You've got all these tools. Yeah, I could go into Logic and put a full accompaniment here. And you might be thinking, well, that would just provide more inspiration. Well, it might. But it also, the more tracks you add here to your accompaniment, if you come in and you add drums, if you come in and you add bass, and you do strings, and you do, whatever, before you've written your melody, the more layers you add to this, the more restricted you are in what you do, because a bass provides its own rhythm. The drums provide their own rhythm. It's true, they may fit tightly with this, but they do start setting down parameters in which you have to operate. And purposefully, I don't want those parameters there yet. I don't want any boundaries on what I'm going to write other than this guitar riff. And after I've come up with my melody, then I'm going to come back and I'm going to start thinking, okay, now what drum beat fits both the guitar and the melody that I've come up with? I come in to do the bass. All right, what bass now fits the drums and the guitar and the melody? You see what's happening here? Every layer we add, we have to ask ourselves, how does it fit with this layer and this layer and this layer? The more layers you have, the more you have to keep in mind about how to write it. And so when I write my melody, I don't want to have to keep any of that other stuff in mind. I want to be free to be crazy in here if I need to. And then I'll come back and I'll make the drums and the bass fit it. That's a lot easier than making the melody fit all this stuff. And I'm more likely to come up with something creative. Okay, with that all out of the way, I'm going to start thinking now. I'm going to come back and I'm going to listen to this thing. And this requires a mindset. I have to stop and be very open and just listen to it and think, what comes to mind? It may be a melody itself comes to mind. It may be, what am I singing about that's coming to mind? What mood is this putting me in? And so I'm going to play it through once. And just as I'm doing this, you do the same thing. Think, if you were sitting here in front of this computer, what would you be thinking about putting in here? Now, I'm thinking this is a verse, not a chorus. It could end up being a chorus, but I'm thinking it's probably going to be a verse. but I'm just going to leave it open to you. I'm going to play it all the way through from here to here and give you plenty of opportunity to imagine what you would put in here. What notes would you draw in? What kind of a rhythm to your melody are you imagining? Okay, here we go. All right, I'm starting to have some ideas. I've even got kind of some words even kind of popping around in my head. They're kind of derivative right now, but I mean, even this guitar strumming is a little bit derivative of plenty of other songs. It's nothing fancy or unique about it, really, but that's okay. It's okay when you're starting out to have ideas from other songs pop into your head, because you're going to come back around and you're going to refine this stuff and you're going to make it yours. So if you've got stuff popping in your head that you think is coming from other songs, that's okay. It's a jumping off point. So that's all right. Okay, now here is where the challenge of making this vlog for me is. There's no way I could write this song fast. Unless I just get lucky. But chances are I'm going to be spending hours in front of this thing. And so I'm not going to make you sit through all of that. Instead, I'm going to pause my recording and do some of this thinking. And then when I have something I think that is presentable that I can talk to you about, I'll come back and present it. Okay, so I'm pausing my recording now, and I'm just going to think for a while. Okay, so I have spent some time with this, and I've come up with a melody that I like. And I'm going to create some real estate over here, get rid of that. And let's see, scoot this out of the way a little bit. There we go. Now, before I play it for you, I want you to look at it visually. We've talked in another video about the benefits of songwriting this way using a piano roll editor. You can actually see your melody visually. You can see where it goes up and it goes down. You can see where there are gaps. You can see difference in the lengths of notes. You can see how your notes cluster together in clusters, and you can tell right away looking at it, is it interesting or not? So just looking at this without listening to it, I can see, sometimes it goes down, sometimes it goes up, down. I've got some little grace notes in there that I threw in that I thought I might use. Here is an interval. I mean, this line right here, not a lot of intervals. They are very small intervals. Here I've got one kind of large interval, and so that helps it be interesting. I go up here, jumps down a little bit of an interval there. That's good. Good interval right here. So there are some intervals in there. It's these big intervals that I feel like really contribute to a melody being interesting. It keeps it just from being da 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 da. Let's look at this as length of notes. I've got some real small ones here. I'm going to refrain from using music theory. I'm talking about the length of these notes. Number one, because I can't think that fast. And number two, it just, for some people it confuses them. I think we can stay general here and be all right. So, some variety in the length of notes here. Some longer notes here, some notes here that look very regular. So if you stay very regular throughout your whole song, that can be a problem, but this is in stark contrast to these first two lines. Neither of these first two clusters are repeating any patterns. This cluster is very different from this cluster, and this third cluster is very different from those other two. Okay? This one starts off similar and then does its own thing. So my clusters are different, even though they are spaced regularly, but that's not too bad. It's kind of normal for clusters to be spaced regularly, but all right, so now let's hear what this sounds like. Okay, all right. So this sounds a lot like a verse. I like how it comes here. Yeah, because it lets there be a musical fill in here that leads you into the second verse. So I like how it does that. I also like how it goes down. I really like that a lot. Okay, all right. A little bit unexpected, so that's what you want. You want to have some things in there that are unexpected. The rest of this, there's nothing a lot in here that's going to surprise you. Let's see if there's anything in here that sounds unique. Let's listen to it for any interval or anything that you feel like is unique. Nope, not really. That's pretty much the only place right here where it jumps down to that thing. And it's not terribly unique. It's just, you know, it could have been a lot more boring than that. So the chords that I'm playing are mainly based around the key of E. And the first note starts off on D sharp. Let's see if that does something weird. So if I'm playing a D, I'm singing this note. Okay, so I'm singing so I'm starting off on the 7th of that note, which is good. It's not one of the primary, you know, the triad. So that gives it a little bit of a spice to it. Okay, and by this time I'm playing the A, so here I'm singing the root of that chord, and then it goes back to the E, and I'm singing right here. Now these notes that I'm playing are actually in line with the rhythm of the chords. This one is not. These are. Listen to this. Okay, so in this place, I'm kind of singing over the rhythm of the chords. Right here, I lock myself in line with the chords, which if I were doing that the whole time, that would not be such a good thing. But the fact that I'm not doing it here and then I suddenly do it here, that is kind of a good thing. It grounds the melody in, you know, what's going on in the background. So okay, then we come here and I'm doing something different. I'm being very block rhythm here with these. These are actually 8th notes, I believe. Okay, so it's very lockstep with just the standard timing, not necessarily the guitar. So that is doing something different. Also, nothing special with the notes themselves. They're in the main chords. It's a E again. Starts on the 2nd. Okay, nothing special there. And then it turns around and does it again. Okay. All right, so there is room to play here. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this melody. It's, you know, it's not too funky that I can't write words to it, but it's also not terribly unique. So let's see what we can do here to play with some of these notes. I like starting with the 7th here, but let's see about this first phrase. There's a way that we can pull a note into something interesting. Okay. I'm thinking right here. Da, 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 da. A couple of things we could do. We could end on a high note. Da, 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 da. What about that? It's different, but it sounds weird. What about this one? Still in the chord. What if we put it on the second of that A chord? Let's try it. That sounds very vanilla. Alright, I'm going to leave this one alone for now. Let's try this one. Dun-dun. It really kind of goes there. What if I just stay down? Or go down? What if we go way down? Alright, that's definitely, it's got more of an interval in there, which is interesting. What if we take it to one more note? Let's try that. I like that. Now what if we take this up now? I don't know. What if we go high? Can I sing that? Okay, that's more interesting. I don't know if that will stay. It's really going to depend on the lyric, but notice the interval here. It's a leap down, and then it's a leap up, and then it's a leap down again. Challenge to sing with fast notes, but it's much more interesting. I wonder if I held this out and scoot this over, what would happen? Dun, dun. What if we do something weird like that? Ha! All right. Now there's something that's unusual. You're hitting these notes in how can I say this? Here's 3-1, 3-2, 3-3. So 1, 2, 3. We're catching these significant notes, these significant syllables in the and of these beats. And so it's throwing something a little bit funkier in there. Not exactly funk, but it's funkier. Much more interesting. Okay, I like that. All right, now let's jump over here to this next one. Now we don't want to go so crazy that we create this unsingable thing, go all the way through. You want to have some normal stuff in here. That's okay. Let's see if this weirdness fits with this normalcy. Remember, these are the notes that go lockstep with what the guitar is playing. Here we go. Okay. No, I think that's okay. I think that's okay there. I mean, dun, dun, dun. Wonder if I anticipate that beat just a little bit. Let's see what that does. Maybe if I were singing, I might do that, but I don't think so. What if we put it just after the beat? Nah, that needs to be right on the beat. Yeah. No, I think we'll keep this as is. We can come back to it. And then it comes up to this part. Alright, I think we can play. I like the rhythm of this, but I wonder if we can do something with the notes. Because right now, you can see over here when I play, the black notes light up. Okay, that's an E chord. E, G sharp, B. So you can look over here. You can see the black and the white keys, you know, that they're laying on top of. So it's the second to the third. So that's the root, second, third. Okay, so this sounds more mainstream. But what if we turn it around a little bit? Dun, 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 dun. Okay, I like that better. That's, you know, it's more interesting. It's going a way that you wouldn't normally do it. But going down, I don't know. I think it's more interesting. Okay, and then you come right again. Do we want to repeat that? Or do we want to make it different? I think keep it the same. So okay. That's kind of different. I don't know, that sounds kind of weird. What if we do that? Nah. Then we get rid of. Then we lose the whole thing of having that interval. What if we stay up? I know, that's kind of cool. It kind of gives it a lift right here, and then, like you're diving off into a pond. All right, let's see how this sounds now that it's completely, well, not completely, but it's very different from what it was. Okay. All right. I like it. Now, it's when I start trying to fit words to this, I'm almost certainly going to be changing some of this because I might come up with some words I really like and they don't fit exactly, and I decide to keep the words instead of the notes. And so some of this is very likely to change once I start writing a lyric to it. But this is workable. This gives me a fantastic starting place to come up with a good solid verse to a song. All right, now I'm going to stop here. I'm not going to try and do the whole song because that's a whole nother thing of putting a chorus to a song. So I hope this proves helpful. I hope it inspires you to get out there. Try something different. If you normally, whatever you normally do, make yourself do something different. Play the accompaniment differently than you would play it, and then try and write a melody on top of it. Try a different instrument. If you're a guitar player, you understand chords enough where you could probably sit down at a piano and hammer out some block chords. Just do something different that pulls you out of your normal mode of writing, and then see what you come up with. Hopefully it will have you songwriting outside the lines. Talk to you later, guys.